Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Michael, you're muted, my friend. Welcome to your fourth year of podcasting. Let's go.
Well, you guys jumped in straight away, so it's a good thing I was on mute, because otherwise we would have been talking all over each other.
Yeah, would have been a great time. Our favorite thing is talking over each other. Just kidding. But happy Monday. So good to see you guys again. How are we doing? How was the weekends? Brandy?
So this weekend was Art Basel, and for those people who don't know, it's just like it started off as an art convention, and now it's just like a crazy week. It's like fashion, art, music, traffic is crazy, and I actually live like right next to the design district now, which I didn't really like factor in, and one of the bridges that goes to Miami Beach. So like the traffic around my apartment has been bananas. But this was a year where I realized that, you know, my entertainment preferences have changed. I was like, I'm going to go to one show at Space, and it's like an all like, you know, I don't know, 14-hour thing. And I lasted 3 hours and then I went home and I was like, well, you know what? We gave it, the people I wanted to see were hours away from coming on. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm going home.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, this show is not sponsored by Space, although mentioned on almost every episode.
So yeah, that was funny. It was just like seeing what, like how, and like also Art Basel here, like it's so crazy how many people come for it. Like, and from all over the world. It's wild because there's a Basel in the original Basel in Switzerland, but there's so many Europeans that are here. You know, sold out weekend. The number of people we couldn't accommodate any late checkouts because we were totally sold out, and people were not happy about it. And it's like, there's nothing I can do. Like literally nowhere to put you.
I saw one of my favorite artists, not DJ artists, but actual artists. Alec Monopoly was there. I was a little jelly. I got to meet him in Vegas during the F1 race. It was super fun. But
that's fun.
Yeah, I think you posted something on your Instagram. I saw one of his pieces on the wall, and I was like, man, take me back to Vegas. The good days.
Don't worry, Verma this year's in Vegas. You'll be back there in no time.
Gosh, can't wait. It's going to be a real shit show.
Yeah. Yet again, our weekends couldn't be any more different, Brandy.
Yeah.
I had a local family-oriented Christmas parade. So
that sounds nice, though.
A good old
so
time.
Wholesome. So wholesome.
So that's what we do in small towns. We look at outer space.
Are you decorating the house? Like, what's the Christmas decoration level right now?
95%. We just gotta finish the tree off, but we're there. We're ready.
Well, speaking of the tree, I know our guest Rich Sippos with the Extend team said he's got his tree up, hasn't fully pulled out the ornaments yet, but I know he's going to complete and get that tree fully decorated soon. So should we get going and bring on our amazing guest?
Let's do it.
All right. Oh, and one thing, sorry, housekeeping before bringing on Rich. For all the listeners, next week is our last episode of the year. We're going to do our predictions recap, covering the predictions we did early in the beginning of 2024 and see how successful or how on the money we were with our predictions. And then we are done for the rest of 2024. So don't miss out. Tune in and let's bring on Rich. Rich, good morning.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it, and I've been a listener for a bit of time, so thanks.
Beautiful.
Of course.
We're excited to jump in a few things today that are pertinent to the news cycles that have been going on. Some around the culture in hospitality, some around AI, but it all goes around staffing and the guest experience and the hospitality experience as a whole. But if you don't mind jumping in real quick and tell us a little bit about the business, how you got involved, and we can go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in the industry for a really long time, almost about 20 years. Owned and operated two companies in Park City, Utah, Park City Resort Properties and AAA Property Services. Um, Large cleaning operation with commercial laundry, and then just a traditional vacation rental property management company. Exited those in 2014 and 2015, and then have been consulting in the industry for a few years and have now been leading sales at Extend Team for the last 3.5 years. So been in the industry a long time, seen it from all sides, and really, really leading things for Extend Team for the past few years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Rich, you and I got to connect back in, was it 2021 at the Live Res conference for the
Yeah,
first
probably.
time?
That's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah, give or take. So yeah, you've been in the industry for a good minute, and I remember when we first met, kind of you giving me the rundown on Extend Team, which we actually end up, I think, we became a customer shortly after. I know we use Extend Team with our property management company, but for the sake of the overall article, right, going into culture, I want to get your opinion, because one of the things I actually got to ask some hired guns, aka CEOs that were not the founders in the industry. So Matt Loney, Demi Horvat before Rohit came in to take over as CEO at AirDNA, and Steve Davis and a couple others. And one of the things I asked the question on was culture and building a culture remotely versus in person, and kind of what their preferred method was in order as like a leader to really obviously curate a good environment for their team and employees. But want your take on this, because you guys staff many property management companies all over the world, and obviously you guys aren't in person. So how do you kind of take culture when it comes to digital or like in person / remote?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, our own company, we're so far spread out. We have people literally all over the world that work with Extend Team, like directly for our corporate team as well. So we get to see things and learn things from, an upfront perspective. But then we get to see how our team members that are placed into those companies work differently with all of those different companies as well. So we can definitely see, talking about the article, we can definitely see when that the U.S. and especially the U.S. I mean, Europe, I think is a little better when it comes to hospitality, in my opinion. But the U.S., you can certainly see that it's built on cost effectiveness, efficiency, and it's pushing towards that direction even more every day. Keeping the culture of hospitality within our businesses, I think, is the key to their success and our success as well.
Yeah, and just so our listeners know, the article is called "Culture Eats Hospitality for Breakfast" on Skift, if you want to check that out. And it just kind of compares mostly Southeast Asian countries and their level of hospitality versus kind of Western Europe and the United States, and how you have these kind of moments along your journey in some Asian countries where hospitality is ingrained in even those little moments. And then you might be at a cafe in the south of France and you just feel like a nuisance for being there. And so it goes into a lot of other things about culture and the economics of culture and things like that. But I think it's interesting when we talk about the remote work versus in person and how that can affect, whether or not you have offshore teams or not, trying to build that culture. And interestingly, at Romy, we have a very large Filipino, team, and they cover all sorts of different departments, not just guest experience, but everything from accounting to HR, all of that. And I actually think that team has the strongest culture in the company. They have their parties that we have are actually probably some of my favorites. I think that kind of also speaks to the Filipino culture of hospitality and just general friendliness and enthusiasm, and that they, even though they're spread out throughout the country and from us across the world, they bring that ingrained level of hospitality to work and make a remote work situation as fun as they possibly can for themselves.
For sure. So I guess my follow-up question, Rich, going into obviously like cost effectiveness is a big driver for at least American businesses and hospitality. How do you see this shifting? Do you think there's a shift that could happen? Because like the article stated, culture is being eaten for breakfast or for lunch or whatever the title was. I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but I'm curious. Do you think it could change?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can. I think the companies that embrace culture, the companies that understand the importance of a human connection, the importance of having that experience that you get when you go to a particular place that you love. These are all emotional experiences. Even the purchase of a vacation rental home, it's still an emotional purchase in most cases. Yeah, some people are having these properties for specific investments, but still the majority of these purchases are, we love this place, we should be coming back to this place, and we can rent this place out and earn some money from it. That's still the case for a lot of people buying vacation rental homes. So craving that experience is still part of human nature. And I think the service industry as a whole, like, there's been such amazing changes since the pandemic. People are moving away from the industry. Wages are lower in our industry than others. So in that case, they're moving to other industries. And we've seen, especially, during the pandemic, when you go to a restaurant, the staff is lean. Still in a lot of places, in a lot of hotels and a lot of companies, their staffs are still very lean. So people are moving away from those businesses. So it's even more important that culture is in play to retain those employees too. So I'm hoping that everybody realizes, yeah, you can balance that cost effectiveness, but still retain that hospitality. And like Randy said, like when it comes to Filipino culture, the people that we get through Extend Team, whether they're working in our corporate team or for other property managers, these are true hospitality professionals. So they live and breathe, hospitality. It's amazing.
Well, I was going to say, teams, and especially in the short-term rental sector of hospitality, having remote or more distributed, as we like to say on the show, based off of some conversations we had at our first retreat. But Brandy, Brandy's been doing remote teams and had. Brandy, when did you guys go to the Philippines for your guys' actual part? Was that like 2021?
It was 2022. Our leadership team, we all went to the Philippines, and we did broke the team in half and had 3 days with each group at a resort in Boracay, and did like team building and just getting to know those teams. And it was honestly like a lifetime highlight.
Well, I was going to say, it's obviously like been a normal thing as Brandy's, you guys have been doing this before. You also did it before COVID, right? You guys were doing this.
Yeah, I think we had one employee who just celebrated his 5th anniversary with us. So quite some time.
Yeah. So it's been a normal thing. And not a lot of teams actually get to meet the members overseas in the Philippines, like Brandy, you guys got to and whatnot. So I guess, what are most common challenges you guys are seeing companies face when it comes to team cohesion, and then like obviously the culture part, because it's hard to make that trip to fly over and to get to meet them in person and have that human connection. So what are the kind of other challenges you think, outside of being dispersed or distributed, would go into that?
Yeah, so the big thing is connectivity, right? I mean, connecting with that person, understanding their culture, where they're coming from, whether it's the Philippines or another country. Getting to know what that culture is like is really important, including the team members into the team meetings that you have. The importance of early on, making them feel inclusive to the team is key and crucial, and continuing that forever. Making sure that the time that they're working is sometime during that business day, to where they do have that connection with the team, can have conversations, can talk about their day and putting up a Christmas tree or whatever else. All of those little things are huge. And then some of the best things that I've seen is putting the team members' pictures and bios on the website. Like, that's huge. I mean, they're truly a part of that team. They're truly an integral part of the team. So putting them out there to show everybody that they are, as a part of that team is a huge thing for anyone. So it's no different there.
Nice. So fill us in a little bit on the business model. Are you guys helping find full-time employees? Or are you guys hiring part-times and able to kind of use the same employee across multiple businesses?
Yeah, so traditionally, like our main product was to provide full-time team members to companies. Recently, we've launched our Tailwind product, which is technology with Extend Team, shared team in the background. So really opening 24/7 guest communication through Extend Team for any size business. So whether you're a host or a super host or someone that's just managing 3 or 4 of your own properties, Extend Team can now, pool all of your communication into one place and provide that with a shared team as well. So that is a viable product for companies through Extend Team as well. So not just
I love that.
Team
members. So it makes sense for small businesses just getting started, wanting to build on the backbone of real humans.
Yeah, actually, to that point, like I think about when we first started, looking abroad for help, we were like, in order to kind of take our company to the next level, we had this kind of crazy growth spurts, and we're like, if we needed a lot of people kind of all at once to help. And it was like having the offshore team was just such an amazing, we started just having people in reservations and quickly realized like you can really fill so many positions within your company with like incredibly talented people. And, we found accounting staff members who had American accounting qualifications and were just so seamlessly plug and play. And to your point earlier about making people feel like they're a part of the company, like for us, there's no difference between our remote staff and a US employee, like except for like the way we pay them. But everybody is treated exactly the same. Like you are held to those standards. And I think that that's another way people sometimes go, they treat their staff maybe a little bit like they're the offshore staff. But for us, they're just another person on Slack. And honestly, for me, like everybody's remote for me almost. So it doesn't like, it's not that much of a difference.
Yeah.
So Rich, you said you've been to a bunch of conferences this fall. Aside from the term Bitcoin, the other term you hear everywhere is AI. How does Extend Team look at AI versus the core product you guys have, which is actual real humans? Where's the threat? Where's the opportunity? How do the two marry up?
Yeah, it's been the buzzword now for probably a year and a half, maybe even close to 2 years, I think. More and more companies touting AI within whatever they're doing. But with Extend Team, I think that still having that human experience is absolute necessity. Yes, we can power things with AI behind the scenes, making teams be more efficient. Especially with our Tailwind product too, making information readily available to somebody quicker. Yeah, you can do that with AI. Understanding questions, especially when it comes to chats and messages that come through, we can quickly get information using AI. But in the same sense, when we're responding to things, sometimes you can respond with an AI message that's simple, right? Once you can verify a guest, yes, the door code is 1234, perfect. But when it comes to having to deal with an issue or feel an emotion, like there's no way you can do that at this point. So we want to make sure that we can utilize AI in the background, but our responses, our messaging is definitely human.
Yeah, so we've attempted a couple of different AI programs for the messaging team just to see if we, can use them. And we have actually gotten rid of all of them because we have at this point built up enough like templates and saved replies and things like that. So for the generic questions, they're sending those out almost automatically anyways. And then, the way that people write is also very different. You have people who aren't spelling things right, who aren't using proper grammar, who are like, where you kind of, I don't know if like the bot technology that's available in our industry is there yet. And to your point about the emotional side of things, like if you get a guest who is super pissed off, I think the only thing that would piss them off more is if they could tell that a bot is speaking back to them and not like someone really trying to understand why they're upset or whatever. So I think like for at least for our team, until the technology gets, much better, we're, going to keep having our team, and they keep building these templates, and, they can use AI to build the templates so they don't have to spend, their time doing all of that. But I think there are certain elements that really do require that human touch, especially, people are on these trips, they're spending a decent amount of money. They could be having a great time, but when things go poorly, you really want someone who can empathize with the situation.
Definitely. And to the contrary as well, when someone is extremely happy, you want to keep them extremely happy, and you want them to be a return guest. So if they're having this amazing experience, making that experience even better is the key to gaining future guests too. So not only when someone is upset, being able to deal with them with empathy, but if someone is happy, create more experiences for them, create a better experience than they're already having, and you have that guest for the next, however long period of time. I mean, they'll come back over and over.
Rich, I have a quick question for you, because I interviewed Chris Wheeler with Scenic Stays not too long ago, and great guy, great company. But he was talking about, the best return guest is a guest that, or it was a well-retained, or not retained, sorry, recovered guest, in the sense of like a guest issue. Mm-hmm. So how do you guys go about guest recovery and the actual, like, outside of empathy, right? Like, you want to make sure you are communicating and showing that you care and obviously want to fix this situation, but how do you guys focus on the guest recovery part for the extended team members that are on the guest service aspect rather than the accounting or other different departments?
Yeah, speaking for our shared team that works in our Tailwind team, I mean, we can't speak for the other companies that our team members are working for. They have all different types of ways that they handle those things, but with our team, understanding not only happiness, but also when it comes to handling very, very delicate situations. I mean, it's super important to understand that you want to say that you're sorry from the beginning. You want to, show empathy in your writing, show empathy when you're speaking, and then making sure that you have, if you can't have a resolution, sometimes there is no resolution, right? So making sure that you have something that you can give to that guest that can make up for a situation that you can't fix at that point. That's the key too. Making sure that you end things on the right note, even though you can't fix a situation. That happens with us over and over in this industry, of course.
Yeah, a lot of hotel staff, like front desk training, and Will, you've actually been through it. But from my understanding, a lot of them are given like level 1, level 2, level 3 responses to guest interactions. So, oh, you're a few minutes delayed. Here's a beer at the bar. Oh, you're really pissed off. Sorry, here's a late checkout tomorrow. Oh, you're really, really pissed off. Here's a room upgrade. Sorry about that. Right. So that's something that, I do think at some point AI may be able to get to, but I don't know if we're there yet. And the human interaction and being able to read the responses of the guests, as a empathetic being, and respond in the appropriate tone or manner, not in a, logarithmic, first try free beer, then try, so it's an interesting blend. And I do think, a lot of times the two can play very, very kindly with one another. I think AI certainly has its place for some of those typical responses, but when you get into the actual cultural, hospitable functions, that's still and should almost always be best by a human.
Yeah, I think that's something that also is mentioned in the article. Like there's this leaning towards AI and efficiency and all of that, especially in the United States and to some extent in Europe. But it makes a lot of sense. Like our costs here are a lot higher. Like one front desk agent is probably the equivalent of like 3. And I'm also sorry if my cat is making noise again. She is being very rambunctious this morning. But so you have like here we're thinking about like being efficient, and in many ways that means in a lot of cases having offshore talent, but then also AI. So it'll be interesting to see how we can, I think as an industry, maybe have a little bit of a reckoning of if we are relying on AI, for example, a lot, like what are the other points within the stay where you can provide hospitality so all these experiences don't feel so transactional.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Well, I kind of think for closing out of the episode, Rich, would love to get your perspective on kind of the future of the hospitality workforce, as it's super important. I know terms like human capital get thrown out there a lot, and obviously AI, and there's all this technology. But I want to know with you with rapid advancements in technology and AI, how do you think this is all going to evolve over time, and what steps should leaders take to kind of future-proof their teams?
Yeah, I think that managing AI correctly is the key. So it gets better every single day. I mean, if you're using ChatGPT or any other service, you can see when you keep adding on more and more questions each day, those responses are getting better. They're getting closer to what you're looking for. So it will catch up to what we need in some cases. But I don't think the human element will ever be taken out of that. I think that managing it in the background and utilizing it to make you more efficient, more effective with your responses is the key. And then for like leaders, that I mean, educate, right? Understand how AI is being used within your company. Let everybody know how that's happening. Not just use it as a buzzword, but really understanding how it's being utilized within the company. Be transparent to the employees of your company. And then shift the focus to empathy, critical thinking, creativity. I mean, allow those type of activities to be performed by, human interaction. And I think those companies will exceed expectations of the guests and continue to be the leaders in the industry.
Yeah, as we've had this conversation, my brain starts to go to where employees are and how they're valued in the future, and it's almost that the front of house will be even more valued because so much of the back of office can be automated. And so I see a world where there's a front desk person making lots of money. And in vacation rental world, it's the virtual assistants and whatnot. And I think it's because of that human connection, and that's a large part of why people travel. Business travel is all about efficiency. That's why you see US and Europe so heavily efficient in communications and technology. But when people are traveling to experience new cultures, new people, new food, new destinations, it's so much about that connection, and you can't get that connection with a computer. At least anyone born after before 2000 can't. I can't speak to the younger generation.
Yeah, no, I think it was an interesting point about like a front desk or a concierge or someone being paid a lot, because I imagine that by that time, like they'll be solving the really complex problems, and it takes a really special set of skills that I actually don't really think can always be taught on how to be in tune with like people. And, having so much of our lives are spent on screens, especially younger generations, that those interpersonal skills will become more and more valuable because less and less people will have them. So, I mean, I don't know how far off in the future that is, but I could see a world where, one of the higher paid people is like your central concierge or front desk person.
Awesome.
For sure.
All right, Rich. Well, we always end on a quick rapid fire of our guests. So as short and sweet of answers as possible. When you're traveling with your family, are you looking for a beach or a ski market?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it depends on the season because we're big skiers. So if it's in the winter, we're looking at ski markets, right? And if it's the summer, we're not looking to go to South America though. We're looking to go to the beach. So
Yeah.
All right.
Seasonal.
Off of that, what's your favorite ski resort?
My favorite ski resort ever is Powder Mountain in Utah on the backside of Ogden. By far my favorite.
Wow. All right. And not staff or work related, but would you rather travel to the Philippines or to Colombia?
I would rather travel to the Philippines simply because, I would get some good interaction with our team.
And it's gorgeous. It is
Very pretty.
so beautiful.
I feel like Philippines is definitely a trip I would probably say too, because I feel like Colombia, you can always kind of like it's easier to get to. It's not that hard.
It's closer.
Yeah, the
Colombia's
Philippines
awesome.
is a haul. You are, it
Yeah.
takes a minute.
Yeah. Like I spent a day and a half watching Brandy's Instagram stories while she was getting to the Philippines. Not even at the Philippines.
Listen, what's the point of doing it if you're not putting on Instagram, you know?
100%.
Favorite vacation rental conference?
My favorite conference is Streamline for sure. Streamline conference.
Are you an Android or an Apple guy?
What would be your guess? Who would guess?
I'm gonna guess Android. You seem like you know. Yeah, I was gonna say you seem like you know.
I can't switch. I cannot switch over.
Come to the dark side. Your ecosystem is all together.
Yeah, you'll be stuck forever. And my last rapid fire: beer or cocktails?
Beer, no question.
Love it. IPAs. What are we doing? What kind of
Beer,
beers? Lagers.
I'm Irish and Eastern European. Beer.
It's just
sure.
beer. It's just beer. I love it. Well, awesome. Do you guys have any final questions for Rich? Mike, or Rich, you just made Mike very happy with your answer. So there you go.
Beer fans.
All right. If we have no other questions, Rich, thank you so much for joining us today to give some insight on culture and remote teams and just everything happening. Obviously, especially as we're going into the new year, lots of changes going to happen in our industry. And just want to say thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks again. Happy holidays, everybody, and Happy New Year. So I know that everybody's going to have some time off at the end of the year, so that's exciting.
Yes, some much deserved time off. This GMH crew has been worked to the bone. I got to give them some breaks. But no, seriously, thank you guys, and for all the Good Morning Hospitality listeners, like always, like and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Follow on, all your favorite social medias, and we'll see you guys next week for our predictions episode recap before we close out 2024 and open up 2025 with a lot of optimism and hope for the industry as we continue to push forward. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you all again next week.